Most NFL bettors waste time and miss out on consistent profits because they overlook these two critical markets that should be the foundation of your football betting strategy. It's taken me almost 4 years to figure this out and trim the fat. So in this video, I'm going to show you my exact system and the two markets that I specifically target, as I made over $13,000 alone last year betting on football. Now here's the thing that most football bettors don't realize. They're actually betting into markets that are designed to make them lose. It isn't because they're picking the wrong teams or don't know football well enough. They're making one critical mistake that 99% of football bettors make, and I'll reveal what that is later in the video. But here's what's crazy. There are certain NFL markets that even the sharpest tools like OddsJam software can't fully account for because of key numbers in football. And while I'm going to show you the two markets where I've been absolutely crushing the sports books, I'm also going to warn you about 3 specific markets that you should completely avoid if you want to stay profitable long term. Let's jump into our first market, which is point spreads. And last year I made $1,500 in the month of September. That's a 21% ROI. Now the reason I'm telling you this isn't to brag. It's to prove that what I'm about to teach you actually works when real money is on the line, not just in theory. Betting NFL point spreads is a breeze when you have a systematic approach. But most people just pick a team and bet the spread without understanding the mathematical edge they need to be profitable. So when we see this opportunity here at the Lions at plus 2.5, at minus 105 over at DraftKings, what you need to understand is two very key numbers in football are 3 and 7. And football games are decided by 3 points about 15% of the time, and by 7 points about 9% of the time. So that means nearly 25% of all NFL games land on these two numbers. So while we're receiving a great price over here at DraftKings compared to a very sharp sports book like Pinnacle, I would rather scroll down and take the Lions at plus 3.5 compared to plus 2.5. If the Packers kick a game-winning field goal and win by 3, we win the plus 3.5 here compared to if we had them at plus 2.5. And it's the same exact example as you could see right here for the Jaguars. We have 3 different options, betting them at minus 3, minus 4, or minus 2.5. Now, while this play at minus 2.5 has slightly less EV edge compared to this play, I would still rather take the Jaguars at minus 2.5. And you can see that the sports books know this because they're offering minus 124 at minus 3 compared to minus 143 at minus 2.5. But that extra half point is a massive difference. Guys, if you want to try OddsJam software 1 week for free and then save 35% off your first month after the 1-week trial ends, use code BILLYC. It'll be linked in the description below. The scoring in football is unique and different compared to basketball or baseball. When you're betting on football and focusing on key numbers, this creates line value. Outside of 3 and 7, here are some other numbers that you want to factor into when betting on football. So the idea here is to use OddsJam's positive EV tool. Find a play that has an edge, where we're getting paid out the most. The software shows us that we want to place this bet over on DraftKings. A $100 wager would pay us out $169, compared to placing that same $100 wager over at ESPN Bet. It's only going to pay us out $157. That's literally an extra $12 in our pocket placing this bet over at DraftKings. When you can use OddsJam software that finds you a play that has an edge, plus grabbing a key number, that is the recipe for long-term success when betting on NFL spreads. While the EV edge on the Lions at plus 2.5 was higher than the Lions at plus 3.5, the software doesn't take into equation how important the number 3 is. For my setup for point spreads and for total points, this is the odds range that I love to go after. Minimum minus 200 odds, maximum plus 150. My DVIG settings are always going to be to Pinnacle and also the worst case DVIG method. The reason that I don't have a minimum EV percent set up is because we're betting on the NFL. It's the most popular sport in America. So any edge that we can identify for main markets like point spreads or total points is massive. The second market that is an absolute goldmine that we want to target is full game total points. I made over $6,300 last September betting on this market alone. When focusing on the total points market, you are going to be sometimes faced with this decision right here. Looking at the Rams and the Texans, we have a bevy of options in front of us in terms of betting on the under. Well, when you're betting on the under, you want to make sure that you're going after the easiest play possible, and that would be under 45. So in this example, while we have some good value here at under 43 or under 42.5, I want to take the easiest point total to hit, which is under 45. Understand that if you ladder these plays and take all of these unders, this is a big risk, big reward. While you are compounding your edge, adding all of these plays one by one, you are also having all of your chips in one basket, hoping that one type of scenario actually occurs. Ladder plays carry high risk, high reward. There's a lot of value that can be had, but understanding that you need one specific scenario, as in all of those plays were within 1 to 3 points of each other, roughly a field goal. So look yourself in the mirror, and if you can't stomach the fact that you could lose all of those plays, then just focus on the easiest play to hit, bet the under, and that's it. When it comes to value, if you're finding value in this content, make sure to smash that subscribe button, click that thumbs up button, and tap that bell notification so you don't miss the next video that we release. Now let me warn you about the markets that will destroy your bankroll if you're not careful. These are the bets that the sportsbooks heavily promote. That's right. Same game parlays, or SGPs. They're one of the worst bets that you could possibly make on a sports book. Over here on OddsJam's Positive EV tool, I type in the Jets versus Steelers. I see 3 plays that I want to link up for a 3-leg SGP. Jonnu Smith under 2.5 receptions, Justin Fields under, and the Jets team total under. When I click up in the top right-hand corner, you can see that I'm getting paid out odds of plus either 820 at Hard Rock or BetMGM. So a $100 wager is going to pay us out a grand total of $920. When I add these same 3 legs into the SGP engine in BetMGM, and I'm getting the same odds that OddsJam's telling me I should be receiving, I'm only getting paid out odds of plus 475, or a total payout of $575. So I'm supposed to be getting paid out $920, but on the engine here for the SGP, I'm getting paid out $575. That's $345 that isn't in my pocket because BetMGM is ripping me off. BetMGM knows that these outcomes are correlated, and so they bake that into their SGP engine, and that's why our price is horrible. So the more money that you wager on an SGP, the more money that's flowing into the sportsbook's pocket and less money into yours. And that's the most devastating part about SGPs. It's hard enough to hit one of these, and when you do hit it, you're getting ripped off in price. The next markets that I like to stay away from when betting: first quarter team total points, first quarter total points, and first half team total points. There is a common theme with all 3 of these plays, and that's key numbers. So while we're receiving an incredible price over here on the Eagles at under 6.5 first quarter team total, the fact is that the Eagles are either going to most likely score a field goal, a touchdown, or they won't score at all. So while we're receiving an incredible price compared to Pinnacle, this is a very important number for the Eagles. And as we just talked about key numbers, all 3 of these plays have some type of key number. Over 7.5 first quarter total points. Well, there needs to at least be a touchdown and then some in this first quarter. You know that there's only going to be a handful of possessions for each team in the first quarter, so this is a very key number that we have to win. And then the first half team total under on the Cowboys, under 9.5. Again, 10 is a very important number when betting on football, and there's a very high likelihood that the Cowboys could end up with 10 points. The reason that I stay away from all 3 of these markets is because typically you are betting on some type of key number, and that's where I would just rather avoid this altogether. The NFL betting market is more efficient than it's ever been, but there are still consistent edges out there if you know what to look for. The key is focusing on the right markets, full game totals and spreads. And when we're betting on spreads, we're getting a key number along with an edge. Then you want to make sure that you avoid those traps that the sportsbook set that the recreational bettors always fall into. Outside of betting totals and spreads, I love smashing NFL player props, and I have a step-by-step tutorial that's going to walk you through my entire strategy. Click this video right here that's going to walk you through the entire strategy, the odds range, the sportsbooks, so you're going to have not only full game spreads and totals, but player props in your repertoire to crush the sportsbooks.